Okay, so today we want to look at square roots and cube roots. So square roots and cube roots, they almost look, and let me get you centered. They almost look like division symbols. So they typically look like this. But this is not division. Okay, so a square root is something times itself that gives you whatever number is in here. So if I give you something like the square root of 100, we'll start off with something kind of easy. If you see something like this, I'm looking for something times itself that gives me 100. Now, most of us, we can look at this and say, okay, 10 times 10, that gives me 100. So the square root of 100 would be 10. Okay? Now with this, take a minute and think if there's anything else times itself that'll give you 100. So it's not going to be another number with different digits, but we do know a negative times another negative should give us a positive. So negative 10, that is also a solution. So for square roots, you're going to have two different answers. It's going to be the positive number and the negative number. A few other examples with this. If I give you the square root of 49, okay, what times itself is 49? We all know. Yep, that would be 7. Along with that, you have to think of the negative ones too. So negative 7 times negative 7, that also gives me positive 49. So for this, my solution would be 7 and negative 7. Okay, same with square root of 25. That's going to be 5 and negative 5. Now all of these are pretty easy because these are our times tables that we all know. But what if you end up seeing something like the square root of 37? Okay, that's not one that we have memorized. We don't automatically know a number times itself to give us that 37. If you have that, which you will, you're going to come across that quite a bit. What you're going to do is take your calculator, and you need to know how to type square roots into this. Okay, so you're going to hit the second button, and then you're going to come down here to this x squared button. So notice above it, it's got a square root symbol. You're going to hit second x squared. And now you have that square root symbol. Then you'll just type 37, close your parentheses, enter, and there you go. That right there would be the square root of 37. Okay, and I'll show you one more time. If I have maybe the square root of 50. Once again, all I'm going to do is type second x squared 50 parenthesis enter. And there you go. So if I ask you to put the square root of 50 on a number line, if you type it in your calculator right here, you can tell that this number is going to be in between 7 and 8. It's a little bit bigger than 7. Okay, so that's square roots. The other one that you're going to see is cube roots. And a cube root is really a square root with a little 3 right here. So a square root is something times itself 2 times. Cube root is going to be times itself 3 times. So if I give you the cube root of 64, this means I need something that's going to be a number times itself that should give me 64. Now I don't think many of us have it memorized. You probably will by the end of 8th grade. But let's say you don't know what it is. To figure it out, you can type it in your calculator. And this time, it's a little bit different. You're going to type that 3 first. So 3. And then right here, this button, it's called the caret, that up arrow. you're going to hit second and then that up arrow. And when you do that, see how it has that little X right there? That's just showing that you've got that 3 where that X is. It doesn't format it really well. Once you've done that, that's the hard part. You're just going to type 64, enter, and there's your answer. So this means that 4 is my solution. And you can double check it. 4 times 4 times 4. If you type that into your calculator, you're going to get 64. Now, when we did square roots, you had 2 solutions. You had a positive and a negative. So if I were to check that with this one, so just thinking with me, so this is just a side note. If I did -4 times -4 times -4, well, based off of our integer rules, a negative times a negative gives me a positive, and then a positive times a negative, well, that's going to give me a negative. So -4 would not be a solution to a cube root because that's not going to be the same as this positive 64. Okay, looking at another example, maybe you see the cube root of 8. You work it the same way. This is one you're probably going to end up memorizing. You'll recognize this one later on. But if I don't know what it is, I'm going to type 3 because I want the cube root, and then do second, then hit this caret button. So the up button, and then 8. Once you hit enter, we find out that the cube root of 8 is 2. So to sum it up, something we need to keep in mind every single time we work one of these. 1, you need to know how to put them in the calculator. 2, you need to know that a square root, and I'm going to abbreviate a lot, but a square root has 2 solutions or 2 answers. You're going to have a positive and a negative. And I'll put that on here too. A cube root, that's only going to have 1 solution. And that is all you need to know for now about square roots and cube roots.